it's an epidemic. I mean, it's beyond epidemic proportions. Al-Qaeda might as well have moved in and taken over. It's that bad.
What we've done for the last 40 years is not working.
This is Huntington, West Virginia. When the war on drugs failed, this town was one of its casualties.
Dispatch to all companies responding. This is going to be a cardiac arrest now. We've got 2 patients. One is not breathing.
Okay, so this is probably not good.
Huntington fire.
They're stabilizing her and getting her in the ambulance.
And a lot of these auto accidents are caused by opioids or drugs.
Well, probably 60% or more of the DUIs are actually heroin and not alcohol.
When the driver told troopers he had an addiction to prescription opioids and that he'd received an injection earlier that day.
Here's how serious the heroin epidemic is in Huntington. While the national overdose rate stands at 13 people in 100,000, West Virginia's rate is almost 3 times that, the highest for any state in the nation. This county's rate doubles that, and the rate for overdose deaths in Huntington itself, about 9 times the national average. On August 15th, the problem came to a head. 28 overdoses in just 4 hours.
We have an unknown problem. So there's people there, they're just showing up and dying. I just caught a bit of that. What are people showing up and doing? All they could tell us was that people are showing up and dying.
Nothing would be more effective than for Americans simply to quit using illegal drugs.
Do you think the old drug war failed Huntington?
The drug war failed this country.
Jim Johnson is Huntington's drug czar. He was the chief of police, he ran the jail, and now he has this to say.
If you would have told me, 3 or 4 years ago that I would be a proponent of drug courts and harm reduction programs, syringe exchanges, there was no way that I would have been. I would have thought those were the type of things that enabled. But I've come to understand what enabling is when you know families and people that have had drug problems and you didn't say anything and then you carried their casket. That's enabling.
Today, Huntington is fighting a new kind of drug war, at least new to West Virginia. And it's based on the idea that addiction is a disease to be treated, not just a crime to be punished.
3 days. It's the last time you'll see me.
That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Didn't do my first drug until I was 26, and I got a kidney stone here, and they put me on Oxycontin 80s and kept me on them for 9 months for 1 kidney stone. I'm down from using 2 to 3 grams a day to less than half a gram a day.
That's awesome.
I have a master's in culinary arts from UC Berkeley. I have a bachelor's from Marshall University in business management.
And how about a tie?
Yeah, give me a couple of them if you can. Getting clean's easy as hell. That's not an issue. Staying clean is the hard part.
Whether this will work, they don't know yet. But Huntington has already become a model across the state for a more compassionate approach to drug sentencing and drug court.
All right, let's start with Bethana.
Okay. She seems to be remorseful for what she's done. She seems to say, she's sorry, she wants to get back on track, she's having a rough day,
We have a treatment team of people who sit and talk about their cases before drug court to see how they're doing, what we can do to improve their situation.
And while there's been a boom in heroin overdoses in West Virginia, there's also been a boom in places like this. Centers for recovery that work with health and city officials to take a softer approach in treating addiction.
Folks sometimes ask, they'll say, well, hey, how's business? And it's almost a bittersweet moment because yes, we're continuing to expand, but at the same time, you always dream of a day to where these type of services are no longer needed.
A lot of my friends died. I know about 15 of them died from shooting heroin, it's really bad. I don't want to take that chance putting another needle in my arm.
But right now, the heroin epidemic here is not getting better, and Huntington is preparing for even darker days.
this problem is going to still get worse. We have not peaked out yet, and we don't have an answer. We don't have a solution.